So
Yeah, just get
welcome.
started. I'll make sure. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This is the Battery Park City Committee meeting, the October meeting. We're following the Waterfront Committee meeting. Thank you, folks, for being patient. We're starting a little bit late, or later than the 7:30 start time, but we do have a few things to announce. And Lucian, when you're actually, let me introduce myself. My name is Justine Kuchia. I'm the chair of the committee. Kathy Gupta is my co-chair. Lucian, you're raising your hand, so you can jump in at any time, but
Sorry, I was trying to lower it and I kept messing it up.
that's okay. I thought I was like doing something wrong. Kathy's my co-chair, and the other community board members are Robin Forst, who's our public member, Betty Kay, Dr. Betty Kay, Eric Flores, Jimmy Sung, Bob Schneck, Jeff Galloway, and Sarah Cassell. Yes, I see you waving at me, Sarah. And I think that's my committee. And then, of course, we have other board members on the call, which are wonderful. So raise your hand when and if you have got questions. The way that we work is Robert's rules. So I will be presenting information. I will call on my board members first. Then I will call on the other community board members, and then I will get to the attendees. Folks who are in the attendee section, you cannot be on camera. You cannot like turn yourself on and off of mute, but be patient because now anyone who was here last month, I didn't have my computer working, so I was on my phone. I couldn't see anything. Now I can see everything. So you will be called, and I will get to you in your turn, but it's going to be after the committee, so just be patient. All right, let us go to the agenda because I want to update folks as to what's going on. Okay, yes, here it says it now. I wanted to note that the Battery Park City Authority runs and permits conversation for 2023, and the discussion and possible resolution is postponed to our November hearing, which I believe is going to be back on the first Wednesday of the month. So it should be November 2nd. As our update. I think that's what we're tentatively scheduled for at this point in time. So that's going to fall off. We're going to jump right into the Pataki Way passive and recreation options. And then as we kind of fold into the Battery Park City security update, we're going to make a note, and I want to let people know that we're going to mention some stuff in the neighborhood that has come to our attention as semi-new business that's not here, the smoke shop that's opened up in Battery Park City. So we will talk about it. But first, we're going to do Pataki Way. Thank you so much, everybody. And I believe I should introduce Nick Spordone, who then can present his short presentation as what their ideas are for this and why they've come up with it, and then we'll have a discussion. Go ahead, Nick, unmute yourself.
Okay, everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, let me put my headset in here. Hold on one second. I was charging up. Okay. I got to tell you, Justine, I'm all out of sorts tonight. At 7:30 start. It's a whole new world for me.
Is your daughter asleep yet or no?
No, she's about to take a bath.
Okay.
She's
No.
about to take a bath.
You may have had dinner. If you're me, you haven't, but you may have had dinner already.
That's right.
Something to say about it.
Right.
All right, Nick,
So
go ahead.
okay.
Oh, and let me just say this,
hold
because
on
I'm
one second.
getting, before you start, the
Yep.
public does need to sign in again if they want to be here for the Battery Park City Committee, although they're still here. They just go into the chat and sign in that way. Thank you. Thank you, Cora, for asking that question. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Nick Spordone from the Battery Park City Authority. I'm joined this evening, and Lucian, thank you for that, by my colleague, Mimi Taft. She's our senior manager for special projects, works in our real property division with Gwen Dawson, who many of you know. And before I turn it over to Mimi for a kind of a brief slide deck here to kind of get the creative juices flowing, just to get everyone caught up in case you had seen it and kind of moved on to the next thing or hadn't seen it the first time it had come across. Last month, September 29th, I believe the date was, we had announced, and thank you obviously also Tammy and the local elected officials for their lending their voices of support to that as well. We had announced that the authority was looking to create and kind of introduce a public dialogue and discussion around the potential activation of the area that has colloquially been known at different times in its history as the Pataki Walkway or the Pataki Walk. It is the roughly 55,000 square foot paved walkway that extends from the top of Battery Place up to roughly Third Place between Little West Street and the West Side Highway. And the idea there is, in as much as we are going to be having some open green space go offline for the couple of years now with the pending start of construction of the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project, we are mindful that we want to try to make sure that we can have, at least on a temporary basis, some additional green open space available for the community to use and to enjoy. It's an interesting space. It is used by some folks, but we think there may be an opportunity there to activate it in a way that can be very fun and very interesting for folks in the neighborhood to use and enjoy over the course of the coming years. So what we wanted to do was we put a survey out when we announced that we wanted to start this conversation. What we also announced when we put that announcement out was that we would be working with, and thank you again for the continued partnership, that we'd be working in close consultation with the community board to identify different and additional ways, not only of getting feedback on this proposed initiative, but also what your ideas were about potentially activating this space in a new and a different way. So without any further ado, what I wanted to do briefly was kind of set the stage there. And then before turning it over to Mimi, I will just add one more thing in terms of timing. Justine, you and I had discussed this earlier. Roughly speaking, in terms of timing, what we'll be looking to do is, if this is something that the community thinks that they want to see happen, we would try to have this, and Mimi will correct me if I'm wrong, we would want to try and have this in place for next spring, so spring of 2023. Backing out of that, we as the authority would like to have a sense of what it is the community would like to see. We're talking broad consensus, let's say by the end of the year. So backing out from that, what we wanted to do this evening at the Battery Park City Committee, I know it's been pushed back a little further in the month because of the holidays, but have a kind of conversation tonight about some preliminary thoughts, not only on what the space might be or could be, but also additional ways to potentially gain some feedback from other parts of the community. And then when we're back to you in about 2.5 weeks' time, I believe, Justine, it's November 2nd, we would enjoy and very much welcome having an additional conversation at that point with any additional ideas you may have after having marinated on what we discuss here this evening, with the idea that potentially, if the community board wanted to get its thoughts together and kind of survey other community stakeholders along with us over the course of the coming weeks, that if by the end of November at full board, there was a resolution that the community board wanted to consider and vote on, that would allow then us to work those considerations into whatever planning would be done on our end through the month of December as we approach the end of the year, to be able to get started on this during the winter and have it opened for the spring. So that's the general framework. And again, Mimi will go through this, but again, the idea here is, doesn't need to be everything at once. We just want to have an idea of what people would like to see. If it's something very simple, that's great. If it's nothing, that's also, we want to hear that. If it's something more than that, something in between, that's also okay. We just wanted to get the conversation started, and we very much value the continued partnership and leveraging the community board's expertise to get those ideas out and to get the feedback be broad-based and thoughtful. So with that, Justine, if that's okay, I'll turn it over to Mimi.
Yeah. Mimi, let's start. That's great. Thank you, Nick, for that the introduction.
Of course.
Mimi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Just one quick question. Do I actually get to control the slides, or will somebody click
I'm
us
sorry.
through?
Mimi, yeah, Lucian has it teed up. So Lucian, if you don't mind, if you can just drive as Mimi, you want to let him know when to go forward?
Sounds good.
Certainly.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
If we could go to the next slide, that would be great. So as Nick mentioned, this is the area that we have been considering activating in some way. It's got a lot of attributes. It's already an open public space. It's adjacent to the two areas of construction. And right now we're looking at the greenway that goes from Battery Place up to Third Place. If we could see the next slide.
Not
One
the
of-
bike lane, right, though? It's the
Not
walkway, not the bike lane.
exactly, not the bike lane, which is immediately to the east, and not Little West Street, which is immediately to the west. And part of the reason this area intrigued us as a possibility for activation is because there's already an awful lot happening in that immediate area that relates to either playgrounds or dog walks or active play or even just strolling. So we use this slide as an example of what else is happening in the immediate area. The next slide, please. So one of the interesting things that we discovered in our exploration of this area is that it already sort of evolves naturally from a generally public area right along Battery Place where people might be coming off of the ferry to the Statue of Liberty or touring around the pier area, and it evolves northwards into more of a neighborhood area. So that gave us the idea of perhaps activating the space with sort of more passive garden, play, gathering spaces more to the north and to the south, sort of creating a gateway and using some of the southern area potentially for maybe some more programming that relates to the school, which is nearby, or replacing some of the fitness programs like yoga that were happening in Wagner Park. The next slide, please. So we've been working with a team that has been giving us some, we think, very creative ways of approaching this, which is to look at sort of a vocabulary of creating a surface that is welcoming to different types of activities, elements which could be presented in the space that would be either temporary, removable, or semi-permanent for the duration of the time that this space was activated, and then some highlights. And in the next slide, we sort of explain what those might look like. Go to the next slide. So for surfaces, what we're talking about is things like synthetic lawns or painting or softer play surfaces. For elements, it could be movable seating, could be play equipment, could be plantings. It could be the kind of thing that our parks operations team already does, where they bring, for example, drawing equipment out into a space as they did in Wagner Park. It's a day activity. Those things then go away in the evening. For highlights, it would be something to draw attention to the fact that this area has been selected for use in a different way during the construction of the resiliency project. And these are examples of other successful ways of drawing people's attention to a space, not necessarily exactly what we're recommending, but just to give a sort of sense of how visually we could attract residents and visitors to the area to realize that although the park is closed, that there is the opportunity to perhaps replicate some of the park's uses in this area of the Greenway. So
Thank you so much. That looks like your last slide, yes?
Yes. Yeah, and it's just sort of, this slide in particular is just to give people a sense of things that have happened in other places that have been successful that perhaps we want to replicate at Battery Park.
Okay, so that sounds cool. So now I'm going to call on folks in the committee and just on the board who've remained. Let's talk about it. So I see that Robin's hand is up, then Eric, then Jeff Galloway, then Jimmy Sung. then Andrew Zelter. So I'm going to go in the order that I just said. So Robin first, go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Justine. Tammy,
Yeah.
I mean, Mimi, sorry. Nice to meet you, and have you be a part of Battery Park City. I was wondering, it's hard for me from these images, and I'm not a spatially savvy person, what the dimensions of the space would actually be in terms of, how wide it would be, how long it would be in feet, for example. The images of the suggested activities look amazing, but if you could sort of scale it for us, I think that would be helpful.
Certainly, and maybe we could go back to the, I think it's the third or the fourth slide.
Lucian, can you? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's perfect. And my colleague Varun is also on the phone, so I'll ask him to correct me. But I believe, Varun, that this is a 65-foot wide area on the Greenway. And as you can see on the map, it goes from Battery Place up to Third Place. So just those blocks.
So Lucian, Varun is, looks like he's an attendee,
Yes.
maybe on the phones, maybe at least make him so he can talk if he wants to. And then I do see Cora and Marianne in the attendees also, but I'm going to go the board first.
Thank you, Justine. Yes, just so we have it. So Varun Kohli is our Assistant Vice President for Planning and Design. Some of you who were at the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project public meeting on the 19th of September had met Varun there as well. So he can certainly weigh in, and thank you. I realize looking at it now, I misspoke in my intro. It's roughly, this is the entire space of that paved walkway is about 24,000 square feet, which is approximately 0.55 acres, but it's 24,000 square feet, if that gives you a kind of a universal sense of it. But I will
Yeah,
defer to
it's-
Varun and Mimi for some greater precision.
It's like 3 blocks long.
Yep.
Basically, but how wide? I think that was it. So was it 10 feet, 20, 30, 40 feet wide? Or did you say that, Mimi? Did you
Hi,
say?
Justine. This is
Hey,
Varun.
Varun. Hi, Varun. How are you?
Good, good. Sorry, I was on the attendee list.
Hi. Yes.
No, Mimi is right. It's approximately 65 plus feet wide. Just that,
Wide.
yeah, it's fairly
Okay.
wide. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And will that mean, well, I'm going to let other people ask questions first, but 65 feet wide in the ground, not counting the planters. It's from planter to planter on either side, not like we have to remove anything.
No,
I
that's
see.
Sorry, wide and long need to be defined.
Yeah. Yeah, wide, 65 feet wide, and then length is going to be the 3 blocks, which, what'd you say, Nick? 20? No, 24
20.
acres.
It was 24,000 square feet, but yeah, it's from Battery Place to Third Place, so it's yeah, a little more than I think 3 blocks. But lengthwise, that's I don't know, a couple of 100 feet, more than that, 600, 700 feet. I don't know how long it is, Varun. You may have a sense of it.
Varun, do you have an idea?
It's not 65 feet wide. If you look at it back and forth, it can't be.
It is roughly that width. It does not mean that it's between the planters. It's the entire width. Is
The
what
entire, so it's including the planters, as if the
Correct.
planters are removed. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
some sense. All right, thank you, Varun. Robin, a follow-up question? You good? I'll jump to Jeff Galloway if you're good. I'm looking in order that I see here. Oh, Jeff, you put your hand down. So Eric Flores?
Justine, I'm fine. The only other question I had, and again, this is my spatial sense shortfall, is the beautiful images you had of activities that would be placed along the Greenway. Will it be a walkway on either side, and how will that work?
I can answer that.
Thank you, Varun. Appreciate
Sure.
it. I'm sorry for my lack of understanding this.
No. It's a good question, and the answer really is that we're not there yet.
Okay.
We wanted to kind of share with you the approach we're taking,
Right.
And the diagram that we earlier shared, the idea is that we kind of make it a kit of parts. We want to create something that's, not only desirable but also flexible. So that kit of parts allows us to create like a surface treatment, but then there are elements that can come in and out. And really the to answer your question, the design that then lays things out and ensures that the circulation path is there and how people traverse through it, all of those things we really haven't even started laying it out yet.
And what would be the timeline for this whole thing if it's approved?
Well, sorry, maybe were you going to answer?
Well, I think as Nick said, we're really hoping to take advantage of the winter to put whatever the community decides would work in this space in place so that by the start of the good weather in spring, late March, early April, it would already be up and running so that it could be taken advantage of.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
I'll be quiet now.
That's all right. Good questions. All right. So I'm going to go to Eric Flores. Go ahead, Eric. Unmute yourself.
I think I'm going to be negative here. So you don't know if there's still going to be a walkway available in this area? Did I hear that right?
No, no, no. People will walk through it. I'm just saying that we haven't laid it out. We haven't designed it yet.
Okay.
So
My only concern is that I know a number of parents, including myself, who use this walkway frequently to take my child to school, the TLE, across the highway where there's that divided area. And a lot of parents that I know don't like crossing the highway the one way and then crossing where the tunnel comes out. They like this area better. So for removing that from parents, I just think there's going to be some pushback when it comes to children in areas. Like, it's great that there's, places for kids and whatnot, but in the morning when we're trying to get our kids to school, this isn't going to be favorable.
So when we start looking at laying things out, one of the first things we are going to do is to look at pedestrian traffic patterns, and certainly we'll be talking to this community and whoever else we need to. We'll lean on Nick for that assistance, but we do want to thoroughly understand, and your point bringing up, Eric, that's a really important one for us to know. But the more we understand how the pedestrian traffic works, the better we'll end up providing a solution for. And also that's one of the reasons, I was saying flexibility is we don't want to put anything that changes anything permanently in any which way. We can always adjust things and move things around. That would be the idea.
I would say two things also that on the agenda, there is a link to a questionnaire that Battery Park City has issued that we're really hoping people will respond to, that it'll get disseminated widely, because that's a way for us to gather data that we can then collate into consensus around both the positive things that people are looking for, as well as the things that we should be aware of that we may not already be aware of. And the other thing I would say is that one of the examples that we've relied on in thinking about the programming of this area is what sort of happens in Rockefeller Park, which is that, for example, in front of the Parks Operations Building there, things get put out during the day, get taken in at night. They are put out at certain hours of the day to invite people to play and engage. But nothing, we don't envision anything that would be obstructive or have a sense of permanence. This is a temporary activation of the space. So certainly circulation would be something we would definitely want to be sure we were preserving.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Eric, for that. Something I'm going to suggest is that we do and plan, Nick, a walkthrough and just kind of take a, with this committee and anybody who can join from this committee, and then we can invite in some of the schools, whatever else, we can talk about it. But I think that might be an important thing, maybe even before our next meeting. But Jimmy Sung, you're next.
Justine, I love it. I'm sorry. I love it.
I was just looking at the agenda that was sent tonight. Is this the Pataki Way?
Yes, this is the Pataki Way.
So it's always been called the Pataki Way.
Yes, basically when it was built, and someone can help me with this, maybe Jeff or Robin, but basically when it was built and they built the greenway, the walking part and the bike lane next to it, they built it when Pataki was governor, and we wanted different things, and he said, no, I want to make this grand walkway where we can have parades, we can have people walking, it'll be a way to get from the Battery to Ground Zero and beyond. And so, yes, we just called it the
Its
Pataki
official
Way.
name, it's what we.
Okay. So it's not like an official name, it's just a nickname.
No, it's our nickname. That's
Unofficial,
how,
yes,
yeah,
unofficial,
unofficial
Jimmy.
name. Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jimmy. Andrew?
So I guess one question for you, Justine, to Mimi's point, all right, I'll ask my second question then. Are we aware of any uses in the area that's going to be closed down that we can't replicate, either in this space or elsewhere?
I'm here. I'm sorry. I just turned my heat off. Uses in Wagner Park area or uses that are there right now in this particular space?
No, in the area that's going to be closed down for several years, are we aware of any uses in that space currently or prior to its shutdown that we cannot replicate either in this plan or other areas of Battery Park City?
I think we have to talk about that as an idea, because things that have come to my mind are Drumming Circle, which you could do it here, we could do it and you could do it in Rockefeller Park, you could do it in West Thames Park. What else? They would do some concerts sometimes, but there's other places that we wouldn't need to do it here. Fill in some other stuff, Nick. I don't know. And anybody else who can think of it.
Yeah,
But
no, it's a good question. We are anticipating and planning to have any of the events that happen in Wagner Park, large scale and otherwise, take place elsewhere within Battery Park City during the course of the construction. So there's some large scale events that happen that we'd look to kind of shift elsewhere. So the Battery Dance Festival, for instance, is a downtown and New York City's largest and longest running public dance festival. Wonderful partners for a long time. They've been in Battery Park City for, gosh, I don't know, 30 years, 40 years perhaps. It's a long time. And so they'd be in Rockefeller Park.
Nick, I have to contradict you there.
They'd be in Rockefeller Park for next year, but that's the idea, not to have them.
So it sounds like you guys have that covered. My second
Yep.
question is to Justine. I guess this was to you.
Yep.
So to Mimi's point of facilitating distribution of the questionnaire to get as much input as possible, are we able to facilitate that? What can we do
Yes,
to handle the
I would
distribution?
like to be able to do that. I think the community board has already put it on their newsletter, but I think we need to reach out to the schools. I think we need to reach out even to the downtown Little League stuff or whatever's out there as to any organizations that have and use park space in Battery Park City in Lower Manhattan should be at least have an opinion. And then I have my own opinion about the use of the space, but I think there's more people as possible that give an opinion and give ideas would be perfect, because we need that. So
I think it'd be great if we can push it out as opposed to requiring people to come in and pull it out.
push it out, as in, yes, blast it to different places. I agree with you.
Correct.
Yes, yeah, agreed. I agree, Andrew. Thank you. Betty?
I'm going to speak for transportation since that's what I do on the board, but also because I live in Battery Park City. I can tell you coming from the north side, I walk down this way all the time. It is a big pedestrian use pathway. So
Yes,
it
it is.
must maintain a lot of space for pedestrians. I can tell you from experience, people walk 4 and 5 abreast all the time. That using a mobility scooter, even though I can go relatively quickly, it's hard for me to get around people. There are so many people walking in the space. So where are you going to find space? That's going to be a real question. One of the biggest complaints, one of the most common complaints that I get as chair of transportation is from the cyclists. which again, no one's talking about that group of stakeholders. The bikeway is one of the most popular in the United States. It's heavily used. They are so irate, and I think Nick can tell you how many times he gets requests for signage to tell those damn pedestrians to get off the bikeway. So if we don't have enough space for the pedestrians on the pedestrian walkway, the bikers are going to get even more angry than they already are.
Yeah, good point.
And that's because of people like me, and I know there are there are wheelchair users, the surface must be a hard surface. I don't want to see any soft surface where the pedestrians are supposed to go during the pedestrian walking hours. Anything else to me is unacceptable because you're making it inaccessible to those of us who use wheeled devices. I doubt the parents with strollers would be a whole lot happier, but it would be a little easier for them than it is for those of us with disabilities. So
Really good points.
I do want you to really consider transportation first. We have a lot of other park options. We have very few other transportation options, unless you want us to take over the roadway and get rid of the cars, which I would be okay with considering.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good point. That's a good point, Betty. Thank you. Kathy?
Sure, thank you. I was looking at the northernmost section that says Garden Lounge, and I wondered, I'm one of the community gardeners in the Liberty Community Gardens, which is also like a little more to the north. Were you thinking of that as like a decorative garden or more of a participatory garden where people had, individual plots? I mention it. I have no idea if Liberty Gardens wants to expand on a temporary basis. I know that there is still a substantial waiting list. There were people who have been on it for years. And if you were doing something like just raised beds on wheels, it might be a nice way to engage people in something they could physically do rather than just sitting and looking at it. And that's my thought.
Good thought too, but then that goes into what Betty was saying, because even raised beds on wheels may be blocking access. I don't know, and it's more permanent, but that's a good thought, Kathy, though.
But I fully agree with Betty. I see what
Yeah.
she's describing all the time, and it's it's very important.
Yeah, but I like the idea. If it's going to be some sort of a garden, interactive is better than passive, but that's nice.
We'll take that idea and
Yeah.
discuss it internally, definitely.
That's really good. Really, really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Betty, thank you.
Sarah, then Jeff, and then I know I've got the audience here, the attendees. Go ahead, Sarah, unhook yourself, unmute yourself.
I'm wondering where the city bike stand fits into all of these. Is it in common ground or play sports? And is that going to be taken away?
My understanding from my colleague, Claudia, who worked on the signage for the Empire Trail, is that that station is staying where it is, and we would be working around that.
Okay,
I don't
thank
think
you.
it's going anywhere.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Good question, Jeff.
I think that what we've heard so far is consistent with what we on the community board probably instinctively know, which is if you talk about changing anything from whatever it is today, there will be reasons not to do it, no matter what the status quo is. And I don't mean to criticize any of those comments, because I mean, I think what that is the result of is that Manhattan is densely populated. Every square inch has competing uses. And once a use gets dedicated to that square inch, there's always resistance to changing the usage. I wanted to make a couple points. One, and I think we should have some deference to that. I mean, the status quo people get used to, and we should change it only if we have a good reason to change it. Um, Originally, when this walkway was built, as Justine, you noted, I mean, we called it all sorts of derogatory names using Pataki's name as part of it, because pretty much universally, the community board members and the people who spoke at community board meetings thought that it was way too big as a as a pedestrian walkway. And in fact, we advocated and passed several resolutions for usage is very similar to what the authority is now proposing for it. And indeed, DOT, who built this area, actually agreed to have various recreational usages along the way, notwithstanding the governor's dictate that it be a broad, wide promenade that could hold tens of thousands of people making that march from the Statue of Liberty to the memorial. The PDC rejected those all of the recreational elements at that time, much to our chagrin, basically because of this desire to make it a broad promenade for tourists to go make their pilgrimage to the statue, from the Statue of Liberty to the memorial. But I think there was universal agreement at that time that it was way too big for transportation needs. And I think it's probably, if you compare it to any other pedestrian area, whether it's Rockefeller Park, whether it's the Esplanade, whether it's any sidewalk in the city, whether it's Park Avenue, Fifth Avenue, or any place in Central Park, it is much wider than the pedestrian usage that is currently given. I was down there today, and it was basically empty. Of course, it's a cold day. It's not July. And so I think there is capacity in that space for transportation needs as well as other needs. But I do think the transportation element is very important and should be taken account of. I thought that the reference that Mimi made to Rockefeller Park is a good one in terms of things being brought out and taken back in. I think Piers 25 and 26 and the walkways to those areas may also be good reference points. There's recreational things along the sides of them. There's walkways. It's quite pleasant. So I'm not a landscape architect. I'm not a recreational parkway designer. So I don't have any specific suggestions of what would work. I do think that we need to be cognizant of the transportation function that it serves, but also be cognizant that there is actually a dedicated bikeway right next to it. There's a full city sidewalk also right next to it. But at the same time, some of those pedestrians that currently use Wagner Park and along the Esplanade and maybe otherwise would walk up Battery Place might not want to walk up Battery Place during construction, and a lot of that traffic may end up being diverted to this area. So I think some serious transportation, pedestrian traffic study needs to be done, or analysis needs to be done before changes are made. But I would just say that these are good things to try to do here if it's possible to do it, and we should realize that yes, change is painful sometimes, but sometimes change is also a positive effect. Those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. So I have something to say, but I'm going to let Cora Fung and then Marianne Braverman go before I speak. So Cora, unmute, please, or Lucian, unmute Cora. Go ahead, Cora. You're unmuted.
Feedback
hear
if
you.
you can hear me. Okay, great.
Now we can.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Cora, and I have been a resident of Battery Park City since 2000 and a worker of Lower Manhattan since 1993. I have been following the CB1 meetings for the last 20 plus years, and I know BPCA is amenable to follow the comments and suggestions of BPC residents. So this proposed Pataki Way, I feel that it should not just be memorialized under Governor Pataki, but should be under the various administration of the state of New York, perhaps to honor the last 50 years of the governorship. As a general rule, I hope you will make public space available for public access to the area that you'll be working on, even though it's just a walkway to pass through instead of blocking the whole area. And that will provide a sense of normalcy and routine for local residents. In addition, no matter what, cyclists ride through the space. So it would be helpful if multilingual, interesting graphic signage be posted to help cyclists or cyclists who are biking through the neighborhood to slow down, to share that wide space. I find the wide walkway is actually refreshing because where else in the city, in the 5 boroughs, that you actually have that little segment of comfortable, wide space that you can just walk through without worrying. But then, of course, the cyclists can always cause a little anxiousness. So I thought there's so many visitors coming through the city, so they just need a good, obvious, prominent reminder slowing down when they're entering that bikeway. That's what I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cora. Just for the first part, the Pataki walkway, that is a nickname that we're calling it, so we're talking about, there is no official name from any governor, but are you making a suggestion that it gets name? I mean, I think it's called the Greenway. But we can talk about that more, and I want to understand what you're asking, and I don't want to take up time in the middle of the committee to do it, middle of the meeting to do it, but I want to understand. But yeah, that is not an official name of anything. Question. Oh wait, let me let Marianne go first, then I have my questions. So go ahead, Marianne. Solution, you have to unmute her. Go ahead, Marianne. You're unmuted.
Where I think I am on this.
Yep, we can hear you.
Add comments. Good. So the only reason this is happening to this long walkway is because Wagner Park will be gone, unavailable to anyone for any use for at least 2 years. So this is temporary. And just to put it in perspective, there's the real change we're going to go through is the Wagner Park change. This is an attempt, and I think a good-hearted attempt, to provide some alternative for that really big loss. So my concern, particularly initially, was about walkers being able to get through there. And Little West Street, I guess looking at this particular slide that's up, the cluster of dots on the upper left, that's construction for what Wagner disappearing. What are the dots that are below the Pataki Way? Is that another kind of construction related
No, I
to
think those are
resiliency?
trees. But can you correct me? I think those are supposed to be trees, Mimi, or those
Yeah.
are these dots. Those are trees, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Trees.
Okay, those are trees, Marianne.
Okay, that's interesting because never mind that. So my main concern is that there is a way to walk, whether people get directed to Little West Street is always an alternative. And I appreciate the concept of reminding pedestrians to stay off the bike lanes, because that is one of the biggest dangers to them when they wander out there because they're paying attention. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marianne.
Sorry. I just have one more thing to say.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Clearly, people have to answer the survey and see if there really is a demand for what we're seeing on the screen. And then the needs of the people who use it now, which are primarily pedestrians, also has to be studied in some way, although we won't be able to study what happened over. And that's obviously when more people are out and on there.
No, that makes sense. And so that
yeah.
actually, and that brings up a couple of things that I just want to mention, which, and then I'm going to go to Detta, who I see your hand is raised, and I see that Bob, your hand is raised. I'm going to go to you after I make a few comments. One thing that I think I'm speaking for some folks in the neighborhood, the 65 width of the space is going to contemplate taking out the planters either on one side or both sides. That's going to be a loss of perhaps trees, but certainly of actual growing green space. So I don't know if I love that as a concept, but I can add that into the mix.
But-
So what I guess for our next meeting, I would love to know what the distance is between the planters as well. And you don't have to, if you don't know now, that's fine. Between the planters and with the planters gone. So that would be question
I'm
one.
gonna go measure all of
Justine, if I
I'm
may.
measuring
Yeah.
everything tomorrow.
So,
Yep, and go ahead, yep. You have an
Sorry.
answer to that right now? That's great. If you do,
No,
please, go ahead, Varun.
I don't have exact dimensions answer, but just so you know, we're not at the moment contemplating removing all the planters. That's not something, I mean, we're so early on in this process that we haven't really gotten there yet. So it may be that if we can find a way to keep them in certain areas or the entire space, we don't know that yet, but we're not proposing removing everything.
Sure. No, I guess what I'm doing is I'm asking to know what's the space with them and then what's without them, because it is relevant to what we consider doing with the
Sure.
space. So that's
Yeah.
step one. Step two, and I don't recall, and I should because I live here, but because there's trees on both sides. I can see underneath where it says Gateway Outdoor Learning, blah blah blah. There's little dots that are hiding underneath the colors. There are trees there too, so that goes to the planters. But on the other side, I believe there's a small sidewalk, but maybe there isn't a small sidewalk on the east side of Little West Street. And there certainly is a sidewalk that can be walked and traversed on the west side of Little West Street. So that is also a thing to note, and I believe, Jeff, you made that comment, or somebody made the comment to say that there is another way to walk. You don't have to walk on the walkway to get to and from. However, and I'm also going to note that with the big open space, people walk and fill the space. So if you had to squeeze and a group of 5 would have to go 2 by 2 or 1 by 1, they would, but if you don't have to, you're gonna go 5 by 5. So that's something else we can talk about. But questions I could ask, and I really would have to say 100%, we need to do a walkthrough now. And I think that even after you get all your information and the data, I don't think we can make this decision until Wagner Park and all of the area that's going to close is going to close. So we see what the pedestrian flow is and what's going on once everything is closed. And at that point, I think we do a second walkthrough and do a pedestrian study, which might push us back, depending on what you're looking to do, but from the spring 2023. But I'm thinking we need to see how the space is used with the change of Wagner Park, because Marianne made a really good point. We're losing something and we don't know what people are going to want to do with that space. But that's me pontificating. There's not really a question there. Detta and then Bob. So Detta, unmute.
Hi. So I just wanted to second what Eddie Kay said and what Jeff touched on and others touched on, is that really look at pedestrian counts and look at the way that the pedestrians like to use the space. Because even if they could be forced to go, squeeze down, or could be forced to cross the street and use the sidewalk, I think it's better to really look at how they're using it and how they want to use it. And it's always a problem when there's not enough sidewalk space. There's been problems elsewhere on the Greenway. There are a lot of conflicts and a lot of workarounds put in place. So I would just say really look at how much space is needed for the active transportation. And another thing, this is a separate issue, but there's a lot of joggers who use the Greenway, even though they have a walkway and they are supposed to use the walkway. And there's a lot of signage up telling bicyclists, use the bikeway, not the walkway. There's very little signage up though, sort of doing the same thing to joggers, saying use the walkway, not the bikeway. Anyway, and
You're right.
and there's 8th Avenue when the sidewalks weren't wide enough and the bike lane got put in, it became a sidewalk. Now that's having to be redone. You also have further up in like the Hamilton Heights area of the Greenway, a lot of recreation use goes on, and in the summertime there on the weekends, and it interferes with the use of the Greenway because there's so many activities crossing both the pedestrian and bicycle area of the Greenway. So, these are just all things to consider.
Thank you, Detta. They're really good points, and you're exactly right. That you're honing in on and harping on my point of what is the use? What's the use now? We know it, and we can do a walk through. But what's the use going to be when we lose more access and we lose more people who can't walk on the Esplanade because it's going to be closed for 2 years? We need to see the flow of people because it's going to increase. You're right, and it's
People
going to
love
flow
that.
onto the. Yeah, we're gonna lose it for a while. We are. So it's gonna force them onto the Greenway, the bike part. And you're right. So it's a lot. Bob Schneck and then Jeff Galloway. If you're done, Detta.
Yes, thank you, Justine.
No, thank you.
So I'm not sure how to approach this quite, but I think that one thing that always impressed me about this, having lived for 20 years before 9/11 and 20 some years since, that it really, if you take a measurement from the base of the stairs of the Wagner Hotel to the curb of West Street, that's a lot of space. It's a really extraordinary amount of space, and it includes a sidewalk, a road, a planting, a wide kind of promenade, a planting, a bike lane, and then a road, then West Street. So if you measure all the way across West Street from building to building, it's really extraordinary. So on the whole face of the earth, there are very few instances of anything as big and wide as that's supposed to be dedicated to a little bit of car traffic and a fairly low volume of pedestrian traffic. But the fact is that if the idea was to travel from Battery Park City to the memorial, what really happens is you run into West Thames and then it splits. It splits into essentially 2 walkways that are unconnected, and always I've worried that no one in transportation ever managed a crosswalk across the western sidewalk track, neither on West Street or even on Liberty Street. So that's always been a kind of dangerous area. And I think that I actually walk that space probably 3 or 4 times a day in every season. And I think that it's very, very, very lightly used, and that at least at present, the principal variation of what's proper has to do with bicycles. So however many people walk in the bike lanes, which I think is wrong, I'm not really sure if I were a runner, if I'm supposed to use the bike lanes, or I'm not sure what the rules are, because running is out of my body for now. But in any case, I think that the most dangerous thing is actually the mismanagement generally in the whole city of all the transportation organizations of small vehicles and bicycles and those things on the sidewalk crossing the streets. So I think that it's really important. I often wondered what, it's once you get something, I think following Jeff's thinking, once you have something in place for a long time, you get used to that place. And so before it was built and as it was being built, It was interesting to me because I really, the first idea that Pataki had was he was going to completely cover West Street with grass. And he was going to put the West Side Highway underneath that. And people voted against that. I think if they voted now, they'd think differently. And they'd say, wow, we all that grass. But the really important thing to me living in this neighborhood is how our little green space next to Liberty Court is used. It's used remarkably. So what I see is birthday parties, people practicing tennis, kids learning how to play tennis, all kinds of exercise experiences. So that gives me a hint to how people actually behave. If I compare that little space to the grander walking the walking palatial space, I kind of go, wow, it's really really underused. But even there, you have the street, a greenway, a walkway, a park, and a walkway. And so we have always had for pedestrians, no clear line of traffic or line of walking between Battery Park and the memorial. And that, if that was the vision, it never came close. And we have a space that's just undesignated, but has a little patch of green on it and gets tremendous amount of use. And I think there's somehow or another, although I really haven't thought of this very much, the question that occurs to me is, how can we make space that's inviting for people to play with and play on and be active in, that's kind of unprogrammed? Because the space of that little park that we have here, what's it called, Justine? This little park?
West Thames Park.
Yeah, so West Thames Park it has a little child section, and then it has a general play space. But the play space is really remarkably well used. So one thing I would suggest is that spaces that are just have a little green on them or some kind of mental trigger that says you can play here is very attractive to kids. And
Yep.
And we need as much of that as we can get. So, I like the idea of doing something with that huge space because I see it as extremely underused, and I see its original purpose as a long, beautiful walk between the memorial and the park. That was never realized even a little. So anyway, thank you for your patience.
No, thank you, Beth. Thank you, Bob, for sharing. Jeff, you're going to be the last person to speak. And I think that what I'm getting from this whole conversation, from all the different opinions, input, history, ideas, people need to fill out that survey. The Battery Park City Authority needs to compile it and come back to us with what's been said. And we need to get an idea of what the whole community as a whole decides and just thinks is the right thing. Because we, even on this community board of, what are we, 8, 9 people, we can't agree. And that's fine. We all have a different vision, and that is totally okay. Jeff, go ahead. You close this one out, and then we can move on.
I was about to say something very similar to what you just said, Justine, is that obviously there's lots of good things that could be done with this space, and I think we need to remember why we're talking about it at all. The authority has come to us with ideas for mitigating the loss of Wagner Park. It's not as if they had some grand design, we want to change Pataki Way. They're coming in response to concerns raised by the community and by this committee about the loss of that recreational space. Now, our judgment may very well be, and the responses to the surveys may very well reflect, that people like it just fine the way that it is. And, thank you, BPCA, for thinking of us, but we actually like it fine the way it is. But I think I agree that we should encourage people to fill out that survey. And we as committee members should sound out our neighbors and friends and other people in the community to see if we can get a sense of what does the community want with this space. Lots of good things can be done with it. Lots of good things are currently being done with it. There's only so many square feet that are available. And let's give input to the authority on what we think the community thinks about it.
Thank you, Jeff, because you summed it up. So I'm going to let it close with that. Nick, let's talk about it and set up a time to do a walkthrough maybe with you, me, anybody on the board who can come, and maybe Mimi and Varun. But other than
Yes,
that,
yes.
let's just try to schedule it, and we just want to collect information. We can talk more. Thank you. All
Yes,
right, Lucian,
Thank you
next.
all. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for your time tonight. I know it's late.
Thank you,
And I really
Varun
appreciate
and
it.
me. Justine, I took myself off camera because I'm having some throughput issues. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
But
No
if you can
problem.
hear me okay, this is
Yep.
great. And Jeff, exactly kind of the conversation we want to have. Justine, I'll be back in touch with you. Maybe we can try and do a walkthrough for the latter half of perhaps next week if we can. That's still in advance of your next meeting. And then
Mm-hmm.
for the next BPC committee meeting, what I'd like to do is we've gotten roughly 80 or so responses so far to the survey, but please keep them coming in. And what we'll do next time for the committee is come back perhaps with some anonymized summaries of what we're hearing.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start developing around some consensus of what
And
we hear, and that might help.
maybe we can share that slide deck too. So we can look at it and have an idea, or you can, if you want to edit it down to just have 2 or 3 slides, but we can talk about it.
For sure.
Next on the agenda, Lucian, if you want to pull it up, because I know it's getting late. It's 9 o'clock. And we're going to go quicker. But I'm glad there was so much input and everybody had so many different ideas on this, because it's important. I think the authority is doing a good thing to offer it as an option, and I think we need to weigh in and give them some direction, and then we see where it goes, because they could choose to do nothing. That could be what we decide. Lucian, do you have the agenda up? I think the next issue is the one we're continuing to next month. So it's going to make me want to just make a kind of a note about the new store. Without Lucian doing the agenda, there's a new store that has opened up on 88 Battery Place, and that has been a source of consternation to a lot of the parents in the neighborhood, because 88 Battery Place is within 600 feet of the middle school, PSIS 276 down the block. The store, I believe, opened up just this Friday. At this point in time, from all the questions and everything else, we've gone through it all. They sell like potato chips, pretzels, snack food. They sell some waters, some drinks. They also have advertised, and I believe they can sell without a license, without any issue. I believe they can sell cannabis. We're looking into that. Cannabis in the sense that they sell gummies. Okay, so when we hear gummies as adults, I don't think of gummy bears that you're going to buy for the kids. Okay, the gummy bears are. Lucian, go ahead, speak. Go ahead, tell me.
Just to clarify, you can't hemp-derived CBD, I think, is
Yeah,
the only thing that
I'm
they
getting
can
there.
use,
Yeah,
gummy or
there are. It's not legal. So anything that's going to make you high or give you any kind of a buzz or anything like that, it is not legal to sell.
That's right.
At this point in time, any place, license, no license, it's not legal. What they can sell in gummies and edibles and things like that is something that contains 0.3% THC, which is less than something that's allegedly going to make you high. And they can sell it. Now, I don't know that they can sell it to children. I don't know what the rules are. We're looking into that. I kind of that part of it we don't know. But what we do know is they also are advertising vaping products like Juul, and they're advertising tobacco, cigarettes, right? So and it's on their sign that's in the front of on the wall of their building there. We found out, thanks to a lot of research done by Tammy, and Lucian did some work too, I believe. We found out that in order to get a license to sell tobacco in the state of New York, you have to apply for it. It has to be approved. And there's only a certain amount of licenses you can get. The last license that was even remotely possible to be obtained was given out in 2017. It is not possible to get a tobacco license at this time. So if they sell tobacco in that store, it is, air quotes, illegal. What is the punishment for doing such a thing? The punishment at this point is all civil. You have to make a complaint to the 311, and Lucian, you're going to put us in. I guess just 311, and you're going to say the name of the place. You're going to say what you're complaining about, and you're going to explain how and why, if in fact they've sold tobacco to you. I can tell you a few people I know have gone into the store and said, "Are you selling tobacco products?" And they said, "No, we don't have a license." You want chips? You want water? That said, I don't know what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. I think a lot of people have come by, so I don't know if they've just been primed to say that. But at this point in time, if you are, you can't call 311 just because they exist, because just existing and selling potato chips and water or whatever else, that's not illegal. It's a convenience store. If they are selling you tobacco or a vaping product, that's a problem because they don't have a license to do it. We've spoken with the first precinct on Monday. We had a call. We made them aware of this, and we asked them just to kind of come by to make sure if they could. But at the end of the day, they're not doing anything wrong. The biggest concern is you call 311 and you make your complaints. Somebody comes out to investigate it. If in fact they do, it can take them months because they're so backed up to actually follow up on those complaints. Once it's followed up on, it's only a fine. Now, they would get fined daily. Lucian, I don't remember the number. I didn't write it down. But they could get fined. It's kind of substantial, but not insane. And so they could run up the fines. And I don't believe it actually closes the store down. So that's where we stand now. And Jeff, go ahead, speak. I mean, at this point, that's what I'm giving you information.
I'm a little uneasy about this conversation.
Yes, I know.
I'm a parent, and so I can understand parents' concerns about their kids doing things that they don't want their kids doing. My kids actually went to middle school up in Chelsea. They went to Lab. And the kind of store, I wish they had stores as nice as this up where my kids went to middle school. If you frequented 8th and 9th Avenue, in the teens, life is life. You can cross West Street and you will see stores that are much more, selling God knows what over there. People are entitled to run a business that is legal. And our children are going to be out in a world where they're going to be tempted and succumb to temptations, both in legal and illegal stores. Based on what we've found so far, it sounds like this store is so far perfectly legal, and I'm just a little nervous in running around with our hair on fire because we may fear that our poor tender children are going to be tempted by things that a few blocks away they can already be tempted by if they so chose. So I don't want to smoke shop across from any school that my kid is going to either, although the fact of the matter is that happens to be probably one of the few schools in New York City that doesn't already have a smoke shop across the street from it. And we may sound a little ridiculous to people on the outside, and I certainly don't want to harass an honest business person unless we have some reason to believe that he's in fact violating the law. That's my 2 cents.
And I agree with you. And I think that was my point of saying that at this point in time, they have the right to exist. They have the right to be in business. They don't have the right to sell you tobacco. But go ahead. I think Eric was next, and I see Robin and Bob. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to reiterate what he said. I'm pretty sure I saw a flyer that you could have weed delivered to you. So this is just all this is a convenience store that sells gummies, and I get like the uproar, but until you go in, you're like, oh, it's just a convenience store. That's all.
Oh, that's good to hear because you've got young kids, you live right there, and you're kind of keyed into the schools because that's part of what I have seen has been a lot of concern from the PTA and a lot of concern. I have heard of concern, all right? I have invited them to come, and I don't see anybody's hands raised. I do see Sonia. Perfect. I'm going to call on you, Sonia. I'm going to do my board first, but I'm going to call on you, so don't go anyplace. I want to hear what the parents who have kids in middle school want to say and have to say. But again, I don't want to have us being bad neighbors. If they don't break the law, they're fine to be here. If they do break the law, let's take it one step at a time. And then again, unfortunately, I don't think it's a crime. I think it's a civil fine, but we take it one step at a time. And I guess a part of the PTA is I spoke with Maggie, who was a PTA president, and said part of this deal is that we're going to have to talk to our kids, right? I mean, my kids are older, but you talk to your kids and tell them you're not allowed to go into the store. You can buy your chips from Battery Market if you want to be so concerned. But we see, and we are not going to shut down a business or do anything that's not welcoming until we have a reason. And so far, there's no reason. Thank you, Eric, for sharing that, though. I saw Rob. Who did I say? I saw
Yeah.
Robin and Betty, and then Sonia. Sonia, don't go anyplace. Robin, Betty, Sonia.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Justine. I agree completely with Jeff and with your comments. We cannot over helicopter our children. This is life in the fast lane. And if they're not doing anything illegal, in the running of the store, we cannot protect or prevent them from doing so. So I think it's kind of ridiculous that we're having this conversation. I think, Eric had, you had said Eric is the father of young children, and we as parents need to guide our children as to what's right and what's not right and what to avoid and what not. But I mean, we can't ban stores. I mean, we'll be sounding like crazy people who
Yep.
belong elsewhere. So I just want to support the idea that they continue their business so long as they're engaging in legal activity.
Agreed, and that's I guess, and that's what Eric said too. So I'm appreciative of that. Betty, and mind you, I think almost everybody on this board are parents of children, older, younger, different ages. But go ahead, Betty.
Well, thanks. I agree with other people have said, but I'm going to go one step further on this one. First of all, I was one of those teens who did smoke. And you know what? The place wasn't near my school where I picked it up. It had nothing to do with my school. So, and it had nothing with my parents. My parents were very discouraging of me doing it. The fact is, it's just what I did, and it's what a lot of people who I knew did, and we did it for a short while, and luckily we passed on from it. But nevertheless, to go after a business is not the community board's place. I would even go so far as to say if they illegally sold some cigarettes, our only insertion would be if the police refused to respond to complaints. It has nothing to do again with the business.
Correct.
Because we're not here as a police agency either. So I agree. I don't think this really belongs at the community board, but certainly not at this point.
Yeah, I just feel as if there was so much uproar and outrage and concern that I wanted to give people a voice, and that's why I'm going to now call on Sonia and then Lucian. But let's hear from Sonia, and you discern. I don't know what you want to say, Lucian, but if you feel like you need to speak it before Sonia, otherwise, let Sonia unmute herself.
Sonia, you can unmute.
So Sonia, unmute yourself. There you go. You can speak. Oh, no, do it again. Do unmute yourself.
I accidentally remuted her. I'm sorry, Sonia.
You're still
Sonia.
now.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you, Sonia.
Oh,
Thank
hi.
you. Thank you for your patience.
Sure. Okay, I just want to first start by saying I have a 7th and 8th grader, and I am not concerned that, I mean, it's always a concern, they have high school ahead of them. But this is not, for me, this is not being concerned that there's a store within a few feet from our building and the school that my kids are going to start vaping. Because, I mean, like people were saying, there's cigarettes, there's weed, there's all these other things. We live in New York City, and there's tons of things that alcohol that you could get into. So it's not about that. And it's not about protecting our children and being a helicopter parent, not at all. We now have 86 and growing parents on a WhatsApp chat group that started within the last 2 days. I have reached out to PAVE, which stands for Parents Against Vaping E-Cigs, that started their nonprofit organization in 2018 when someone snuck into their school, their son's high school, and told the kids that vaping was safe. I don't know if everybody's aware that it's the number one substance abuse
Yep.
among young teens, and it's a youth epidemic.
Yes.
So PAVE has making great strides in trying to, I mean, there are teens who end up in hospital beds with lung injuries. So it's something that we have to tackle on a much larger scale. Maybe, I don't know how CB1, maybe they won't be involved in it, but I just want to tell you what we're doing as parents. The store showed up out of nowhere. It looks like something that would be plopped in the middle of Times Square or like on the Vegas Strip. It has these very, very bright lights at night, and I've never seen anything like that in our entire neighborhood. And many people are commenting on that. And the building across the street from it, one of the residents said that it's bothering the doorman at night because the lights are so bright. This PAVE nonprofit group met with the New York Health Department yesterday, and I'm supposed to meet with them either this week or next week because they have, they said it was a good meeting, and now there's like a plan in motion which they're going to let me know about. In addition to that, I created a Google Doc yesterday, which is circulating on our chat. We all came together. This is not just me, but they're in violation of a handful of regulations. They cannot sell flavored vapes. Those are banned by the FDA, and it's just something that's not enforced. The flavors are what are hooking the teens. They
That's
don't
right.
care about the tobacco, they care about the flavors. And they're sweet, and we've listened to a lot of videotape. In fact, the most recent one was a girl who committed suicide, and she was wrapped up in marijuana and vaping, which she called pens, and she ended up not being able to sleep at night because if she didn't have a pen. So they're very addictive, and they're also banned. So he's not allowed to sell those. He's also someone.
Is he selling them? Do we know or we not
He's
know? I know
selling
what
them.
the sign.
No,
I know
he's
the
selling
sign
them.
says Jewel.
No. He's selling them. We have pictures. He's
Okay.
selling the flavors. Now, what is legal is for when vaping first came to be, and it was supposed to help, people who smoked, quit smoking because it's a little less, the
Tobacco or whatever.
tobacco,
The
it's a
nicotine.
little
Yeah.
bit less. The nicotine level is a little bit less. But yes, he is selling those. We have parents have gone into the store and take pictures. Again, I want to reiterate, I haven't spoken to anybody who fears that because this store was put here, then their children are going to start vaping. I mean, we know my 7th and 8th graders, they go about the neighborhood, they see things. We're in the city, we go uptown and all over. So it's not about that. I mean, they see people shooting up on the streets. Okay. So for those who say we can't keep our kids, sheltered, it's not about that at all. I just got notice on the chat that he took the sign down. Okay. The sign was potentially in violation because it was in 500 feet of the school. And within 500 feet of a school in New York City, it's 1,500 feet for the state, you can't advertise any tobacco products. And on that sign, he had Juul, Gummy, Air Bar, Puff Bar, all the Juul brands. The Gummy is not gummies. The Gummy is a brand of a vape product brand.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
vape. So there's no CBD. I didn't know that.
No,
You're
there is
educating me.
CBD. So
There is CBD.
a parent reported that someone came in and asked for Delta 9, which I didn't know what that was. And he said, yeah, in the back. And
Okay.
Delta 9 is THC.
Okay.
So
Well, he took the sign down. That's interesting.
He took the sign down. Well, our school went in, and the school also told them that a lot of people were not happy. A lot of parents were not happy. So like you mentioned, the tobacco, he doesn't have a license, and we spoke to a lawyer about that. And we also spoke to an owner of a bunch of these stores about that said he can't possibly have a tobacco license. And
He does. I mean, he admitted
right.
that he does not. He does not have
So
it.
he is
So
selling
he can't sell it.
tobacco because these things have nicotine in them.
The vaping does, yeah. That is
Yeah,
tobacco. The vape,
right,
yes. If he can't sell vaping because vaping is tobacco. So part of the
right.
deal
So
is
that's
whether it's an
violation.
electronic cigarette, that's
Yeah,
vaping.
right. So that's one. Um, we took the Okay, and then I mentioned the flavored vapes. The only flavors that are legal are tobacco, wintergreen, menthol, and mint. Those are the only flavors that are legal, not the blueberry and banana ice and all that
Yeah.
other stuff.
And he's
Um,
selling more than that. I didn't think they were even allowed to make any more. That Juul was, and Juul itself as a company will get sued. So that for doing that, that when the FDA says you can't make it, you need to recall it all. They're
well,
not joking.
they've already been sued, but apparently there's like a stay and they're reviewing. They're
Oh,
still reviewing things. Yeah,
okay.
they've been sued. The Juul has been sued. Juul has been sued.
So they're
Um,
still selling it. All right. Well,
yeah, so it's about enforcement at this point.
yes.
Um,
Like,
yeah, and then
hmm. Now this is good information, Sonia. Would you, if you're willing, if you put your contact information, like your a phone number and an email in the chat, only Lucian will see it and he could share it with me if that's okay. This way I know how to contact you.
sure, sure.
And this way we can keep talking because I do believe that it's reasonable. And I hear what Betty said about it's not our job to tell stores come or don't come. Certainly not this committee's job. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I do feel as if the community needs to be heard and needs to have a voice and needs to have a place to know that their community board is paying attention. And we're aware. And you're finding out, sorry, the same information that we are. And I'm glad that you're following up on it because,
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. Like when I came down here from the Upper East Side in 2009, there was, I mean, and for those of you who've been here longer than that, there was nothing compared to what's here today, and that wasn't even that long ago. And as I said, I know some of you have been here a lot longer, but I was even told, sometimes I was said, I wish there was like a coffee shop or a cafe, and people would say, Battery Park City has such strict commercial, you know, regulations. And so then, like after all these years, then this like shop pops up, and I mean, of course, if it's a convenience store, I have Battery Marketplace, Battery
yeah,
Place
that's right.
Market right across the street. We love that place. We're in there every day. Our kids are in there every day. The sixth, seventh, and eighth graders go out to lunch every day. The place is packed. No, and it's right across the street from my building. No one has a problem. Okay, we're not trying to get rid of convenience stores. We just feel like, you know, there's things that belong and things that don't belong. And one of the community members even approached them today and tried to, or seeing if they could change their product inventory in any way to, appease more of a family crowd. So we'll see what happens. But I
Well,
just
thank you,
wanted to get the
Sonia.
point across that this is not about being a helicopter parent.
You know what? That's fine. Thank you so much for coming, for sitting on the call till 9 o'clock at night. I appreciate your comments. Please do share your information so I can keep in touch. And we'll keep the conversation going. Biggest thing to tell you is that if they are in fact, and you, in fact selling something, tobacco or the vaping products, you can call 311. Please do it. Get the 311 number
Nice.
and then keep a log of it. And then I'm okay, because that's Lucian, go ahead, speak to that.
Yeah.
That might be what you.
Yeah, so I think circling back to what you said at the very beginning, the community board may not choose to, interdict every business that may be questionable, but we are here to provide information and support when the community wishes to notify the city agency that enforcement is requested. So, as Justine said, we spoke with DCWP, the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. They told us that there are no more licenses available in our district for tobacco. So any new store that sells tobacco is in violation with their rules. So if you call 311 and you send me the service request number, I will forward it. to DCWP as I do with any, complaint about DOT, any complaint about sound, any complaint about air quality, any complaint about anything that you send to me that's generated via 311, I will follow up and try to get the agency to be more responsive. It's what we do here. So, I think that there's always two parts to the community board. So, the community, I think the community board is being, appropriate in terms of not being overly burdensome in terms of like us targeting one single business, but every member of this committee and the member of the community, oftentimes, well, now I won't say every member of the community, but almost every member of the community board does send 311 requests, and we do ask that the agencies be responsive to those, and we do the same for the public, the same vigor. So, I just want people to know that, we any business that's acting illegally, we do want to see enforcement happen on that, but we're not going to bend the full force of this office to single out one business. But as you do observe illegality and you call 311, please do send it to me, and I will make sure that you get service from the agency. So, I think we can do both.
Yep, I think that's fair. Robin and Bob, 2 minutes each. And then Nick, I'm going to ask you to follow up on the sign. If they talked about light and the signs, so let's talk just a little bit after the call.
Just quickly, I agree
Yeah,
with what
let me know
Lucian
when you want me
said.
to. Let me know when you want me to weigh in. But go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead,
Agree with
Robin.
what Lucian said and what you said, Justine. I think the issue is out of the hands of this community board and out of the hands probably of Battery Park City, but it is in the hands of New York City enforcement agencies. And to the extent that people reach out to Department of Consumer Affairs and, I'm not sure whether law enforcement is involved in this. I think that is the right approach. As I said before, we can't over helicopter our children. I, like Jeff, had a child in the same school, which was less than a Battery Park City neighborhood. And children, of course, have to learn how to fend for themselves. So I would encourage parents and others who are concerned to reach out to the city agencies, and as Lucian requested, to let him know. So that's all.
Thank you so much, Robin. And Bob, 2 minutes, okay?
I'm sorry.
2 minutes, and because I want to move on because we still have stuff to do and it's getting late.
It's fine.
So go
I just wanted to say I'm not sure. I think one of the roles of the community board is the oversight of what I'll call community ecology, and that is what kind of businesses we have here. And I think that one of the impressive things about Battery Park City is how many spaces we have that just go wasted year to year, that stay unrented year to year, things go out of business. And so I think, I'm so disappointed that we might be losing our little wine shop over there. I was so disappointed when we lost our little pharmacy over there. I think that having dogs making a dump in a street side window is really unfortunate. And so I think it's important to have some oversight over what we really want in the community. And I think that it's a really downward pull, for example, that we've lost mom and pop shops and we've replaced them with these New York, the word in Swahili is taka taka, with these kind of junk stores like New York souvenir stores that are all over the place. The same thing, very bright lights, and they're the most brightly lit things, and they're very unattractive. And so one thing we should be cognizant of is wondering what kind of businesses do we want to attract here, so that they're actually useful for the community and that they meet a need, and that, because I haven't seen very many new things that have come in here that are anyway useful to me. And putting that little wine store to sleep is just more backsliding. And even next door to that is the little actual
Picasso
bar.
Pizza.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
but
they're
the
gonna get the
Picasso
pizza.
pizzas
I
also.
mean, Picasso Pizza is what feeds half the population on that
Yep.
street. So anyway, one thing, the other thing is about morality, and that is that anyone who really wants to put a store like that in a school community and in a community that doesn't have one, not only is it a sign of going in the wrong direction, but it's no one whose hand I would particularly want to shake. And I
You know
think
what,
that
Bob? Let's not go there on a public meeting.
but
Let's not make a judgment about people we don't know.
I'm not making a judgment. What I'm saying is that there's a moral question about having one of those in a community, that if you decide to do that, you know, again, I was involved with lots of things like Betty was in my lifetime, but that doesn't mean they were good things that, you know, that I would, you know, certify as what we should have now. I think, you know, at least having a feel for the directionality of the future of the community in terms of retail stores, what we need, what we even can afford, is kind of what I'm really concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Detta, and then I think we're going to shut this down. And I don't see anybody on the. Yeah, so go ahead, Detta. Just unmute yourself and go ahead. There you are. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying a lot.
Oh, you went mute. Now I hear you.
Okay.
See you and
I
hear you.
mean, a lot of bodegas, delis, convenience stores, even small supermarkets over the years progressively have switched to that bright lighting. It's all over the city. They wouldn't be doing it if it weren't allowed generally. I mean, the other thing is that, you know, small business owners, that's a tough gig. They need support. And I just thought we might think about also the carrot instead of just the stick.
That's right.
Helping this small business owner know which agencies he should reach out to for guidance so that he can be selling what's legal and not selling what's not. Making sure he knows the rules, like without, maybe he knows them and he's deliberately breaking them, but there's also the idea that maybe this small business owner could use some help and guidance. But that's
No,
it.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that because I think tolerance, and I think we started the conversation saying we should be good neighbors and welcome people to come in if they're not breaking any laws. And we just don't know that yet. We've heard some evidence and heard some information. Let's see what enforcement turns up, if it does anything. And in the meantime, let's reserve judgment. And perhaps this is not the place to, it certainly is not the place to convict anybody. How's that? That's not our role here. So thank you. Thank you for your vote, your voice of reason, Detta. All right. And Sonia, don't forget to share your information. And I don't see any other hands raised, so I'm going to close this topic down. Lucian, what's next? I think we have Nick's report. Well, actually, let's do Patrick Murphy's report first, and then Nick's report. And then I think we're done, and then we have to do the budget. But I think with Battery Park City, we're short for the budget. But I need you, Lucian, to pull up the agenda to make sure I'm not lying to you. And Nick, in the meantime, there you go. You're there. So is Patrick is here. I think, Patrick, you can unmute yourself and just give us your report.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So, based on my report, graffiti, this month we had 5 cases of it dealing with the homeless people. Our interaction with the homeless, we had 10 encounters. Lost and found property, we had 4 encounters. On the park rules, we were at 38. Vendors and solicitors were at 0. And with dogs, we had 7 interactions. That's basically it. Anybody, I know some people had come to the office to speak with me concerning an incident that occurred where a doorman got punched. So at that time, believe it, we had two peace officers. It was almost a change of shift time. So one was in early and the other one was getting ready to get off. And they both responded to it. It came across the police radio. We had called the police also for it when we got there, and the doorman didn't want to make a report. So there was no charges pressed. So there was nothing for anybody to do. Police got
Wow.
back in the car and they left. The same thing about,
Do you have a record, Patrick, in your files? I guess you do, right? Or no?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And, I saw what's on the broadsheet. And I'm not disputing what he was told because obviously somebody gave him an interview. Whoever he interviewed gave him that information. But I'm just saying, reaching out to even as a follow-up, the NCOs were contacted and the NCOs did a search and said, there's no report.
There's no report. That's what I've
Right.
heard. That's what the first precinct told us. So I'm going to say it now on the record. You really need to report these things if you want to do something. Social media doesn't cut it. Having next door chat say, "Oh, I saw him at LPQ. Oh, I saw the guy in the video down the street." That is a waste of time. Nobody's going to do anything because there's no report that he did anything wrong, if it's even the right person. So, if you have a problem with somebody, call 911 first and foremost. If the ambassadors come to help out and the police come, call 911. But thank you, Patrick, for letting that know, because that is what I'd heard too, and that confirms it now from 4 different sources. There was no police report ever made.
Right. And he didn't want to press the charges, plain and simple. He didn't, and that's his prerogative.
It
in all
is.
honesty.
It is a prerogative.
And basically, I know I haven't spoke at a couple of the meetings because of all the important issues. But when you were talking about, motorcycles and these motorized vehicles on the Greenway and that stuff, all of that was reported to the first precinct. The NCOs did a little mini detail, and about maybe 2 months ago, when all of this stuff was going on, and they seized about 90 of these vehicles. Okay,
Wow.
that didn't have, they didn't have license plates that are supposed to be licensed, and they issued a number of summonses to those. But obviously, those that have, the battery operated bikes, like the delivery guys and that stuff, the last mayor made them legal. So there's not a lot you can do about that. Other than to tell them, hey, you're not supposed to be on the sidewalk type of deal. You know what I
I
mean?
could be wrong, but I've seen less and less of the delivery bikes on the Esplanade, but they are rampant on the Greenway. And they're
Right.
legal to be there, right?
Right. So there was a significant decrease that we saw as far as the safety ambassadors and that once they did that action. Like before we had, a couple of them go across Rockefeller Park, and we know they didn't have any license plates on the vehicle or anything else like that. And that's where the point came, getting the police involved, and those type of vehicles were all seized. So, and they were doing this both on the east, in the first precinct, the whole first precinct. They concentrated on the Esplanade, our Esplanade, and also on the east side. So,
Well, thank you, Patrick, for that update. That's helpful. I see no one on our community board has their hand raised, but I do see Sonia has her hand raised, so please stay on. Sonia, 2 minutes for a question, please. Lucian, unmute Sonia. Thank you.
Hi,
Go ahead.
never mind. That was a mistake.
You sure? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, ma'am. All right. Patrick, thank you so much. I appreciate the brevity and I appreciate the details because I think that's helpful. Next, Dick, you're up. Let's go. Let's make it fast. Because we got
you're welcome. Thank you. Good night.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here as always. Good night, Patrick.
Thank you, Pat. All right, can you hear me, Justine?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to keep myself just on the audio. I apologize. I just don't want to lose connection.
That's fine.
So thank you. And just picking up on the last topic briefly before I go into my report, which I will also aim to keep brief. I really do value the conversation that the committee had here about the business at 88 Battery Place. I went down there last week just to kind of get some eyes on it and kind of look around to see what I can find. To the extent that the authority has kind of a role here, and as Robin noted, likely not much in that we don't have kind of enforcement authority. Certainly, as you know, we do have kind of a approval and discretion over the types and kinds of signage on particular buildings and businesses. I heard this evening, apparently, that the sign was down. I was down there last week and I saw it up. But we'll certainly keep an eye on that with the building. And if the sign does go back up, obviously, it would need to be run through kind of the paces on our end. And that is, again, consistent across buildings and across businesses. It's not particular to any one business. We just have certain design, aesthetic, and standards that we'd want for Battery Park City to adhere to. So we can keep an eye on that. And Justine and Lucian, let's keep in touch on whatever else we hear as the situation continues to be monitored. So that said, I can jump ahead here just to a few quick items, Lucian, and thank you. If you go down to the bottom of page 2, we talked about the Battery Temporary Playscape Initiative earlier this evening, so thank you. Just wanted to bring to the committee's attention that the South Cove Quay, the repairs there are now underway. That's at the north side of South Cove near the Regatta. You'll see that fenced off, and reconstruction of that quay is now underway, with an idea that work would be completed by the end of the year. And that's a straight in-kind repair of the South Cove Quay, which was damaged back during Tropical Storm Isaias, if you recall that. Going forward there, Lucian, to the top of page 3, and I want to thank Marianne, if she's still on the call, and the seniors team. We now have a dedicated webpage on our website for BPC Senior Activity. If you go to Residential Life and then click on that, there's a BPC Seniors page. And what we have done there is just kind of updated and launched a new page that has weekly and longer updates with activities, events, and other types of activities that seniors can partake of in Battery Park City, both BPCA sponsored and other items like the Church Street School of Music and the Battery Park City Chorus, etc. So that is live for folks to click onto and look at. Scrolling down there, Lucian, we can go ahead down to page 4. We have a couple of Nora pairing movies coming up. One is virtual and one is in person. The Asphalt Jungle on October 20th, and Le Cercle Rouge on November 3rd. That's in person and virtual. And one of our favorite and growing in popularity events, Campfire Stories and Songs, on the 29th for the kids at Teardrop Park with esteemed children's performer Susie Shelton. That's always a lot of fun, and that's on Saturday the 29th. Scrolling down then to our parks happenings on page 5. As we know, doing some planting of spring bulbs this month. We are doing some plant salvage at Wagner Park and working with local institutions and parks, public spaces around the city to ensure we can have some of the plant materials in Wagner Park be transplanted and continue to bring community benefit both within and beyond Battery Park City. There is a new white fir tree planted in Rockefeller Park, which is detailed there. The water features are being turned off over the course of October as the weather begins to cool. You'll see a picture there just to give you an idea of some of the activities in our parks. Scrolling ahead there, Lucian, thank you. If you can roll down to page 7, some resiliency updates. I had mentioned this earlier, and we talked about it at the Environmental Protection Committee last evening of Community Board 1, but the full report from the LMCR quarterly report is linked there right up top. That was a very fulsome and comprehensive presentation with updates not only from BPCA, but from the mayor's office, from EDC, from DDC, etc. But the full range of resiliency work going on about throughout Lower Manhattan. For the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project, I wanted to bring all to your attention, and we'll be noticing this likely, I think, late day tomorrow. The scoping hearing for the Northwest project is going to be on November 17th. You'll see that there under the Coming Up heading. And you will be seeing ads for that in the local publications as well. So what that is that's kind of the scope of what the project will entail. There'll be a public document available tomorrow, and then a public scoping hearing in person and virtual. It's kind of a hybrid meeting at Stuyvesant High School on Thursday, November 17th. But you'll be seeing more information about that in the papers. We have about a month or so until that happens, and we'll be advertising that far and wide, including, again, hitting you all with this information when I'm back before the committee on November 2nd. Scrolling down, we had an update last night on the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project. We have our Community Construction Liaison, Rick Fogarty's information there, email and phone number. And we have obviously the ball fields completed information there.
And it's finished, the ball fields, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Just a couple of quick items here now. This was just a really nice opportunity. There's a picture there last week on October 6th. Some of our seniors, there's a number of kind of senior groups here throughout Battery Park City, but there's a subgroup of seniors, the Battery Park City Knitters. This was just a really incredibly rewarding experience, but they had gotten back together in person for the first time since the pandemic on October 6th in the community room at 200 Rector. So as we kind of start now coming back out into the wild and socializing again and getting together in person, it's wonderful to take advantage of some of these opportunities. And what they had done over the course of the pandemic is created a quilt, different pieces that they had all stitched together. And the picture there on page 8 is kind of the unveiling of the quilt. So next time you're down by that way at the 200 Rector Place community, see the beautiful quilt that the seniors had knit.
And that senior group meets every Thursday there?
Every Thursday at 2 p.m. they have the BPC.
For free, right? They hang out?
Yeah. If you're interested in doing it, with Aline, the woman who runs it, and she's just delightful. It's a wonderful.
Yep, it's a beautiful quilt. It's a beautiful quilt what they did. It's lovely.
Those are the main items. We have some temporary, we have some reminders here. The one thing I would add is for those of you who partake in our dog waste composting program, we now have a new drop-off location. Obviously, we have them at each of the neighborhood 3 dog runs, but we have a new one now on the Esplanade, just south of Plaza, just south of Esplanade Plaza. There's a new dog waste compost drop-off. There's a picture there on the bottom of page 9 there. Lucian, you'll see Jasmine Johnson, who's one of our project managers, and a neighborhood resident, Larry, with his dog Bogey. And so if you want to get a kind of sense of orientation where it is, you can see that. You can see one of the towers of Brookfield Place in the background.
And Nick, you need to use their special, which they have those special bags because you can't use the regular bags to pick up food.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Well, what we have there is at each of those locations, we have newspaper that is kind of recycled, and you can use that to pick up the dog waste.
But you can put regular dog bags in there, or you can't.
I preferably do not use plastic.
Okay.
Because if you do, either have to be completely taken out of the compost, or it needs to try to be separated out, the plastic from the waste. So if you can use the newspaper, that's provided.
Okay.
And that is the long and the short of it. Obviously, just in keeping with what we discussed this evening, the First Precinct Community Council, as we know, meets every month. Usually the last Thursday of every month, with the next committee meeting being Thursday, October 27th, 6 p.m. Again, we're back in person now, so that's at the First Precinct Station House, 16 Erickson Street. And we'll be back to you in a couple of weeks, Justine, as we said, to discuss some permitting and large-scale event implications with the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project coming online. We'll be here with Nydia, who's our Permits and Events Coordinator, and Jamelia, who's our VP of Administration, to talk through any questions the committee has there. And that's it.
That's it. Excellent. I'm going to put a plug in for the volleyball folks.
Yep.
Keep the court open as long as you possibly can.
They're great. You got my text right. I have different volleyball folks. One person in my phone.
Yes,
Tony
yes. But if you
Volleyball. I have no idea what his name is. It's just Tony Volleyball. But
Tony Volleyball, you've got Tony Volleyball, you've got Harry Volleyball, you've got volleyball folks, you've got Taylor.
They're a great group. I want to kind of put together like a longer term calendar for them because I know they're balancing some needs also with the pickleball. But it's been a really productive and really supportive and really understanding group. We thank them for the flexibility. And yes, to the extent that we can keep it up for as long as we can until the weather turns, we'd like to do so. Maybe in the next month or so, it looks like it may come out, but I will let you know when I have a date there.
That would be great. And I see Sonia's hand is back up again. Maybe that's real, maybe it isn't, but let's ask her because
Go ahead.
otherwise, thank you for your, there you go, Sonia. Hand up again?
Yeah, no, you
It's
told me
okay.
to put my email in the chat group, but the chat group is closed.
You can't. Oh, okay.
So I could find you on Nextdoor maybe and
Yes,
send you.
find me on Nextdoor, find me on, oh yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Just letting
Thank you
you
so
know.
much.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Sonia. Okay,
You're
take
welcome.
care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Sorry about that. That's wonderful. So Nick, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you all.
Yeah, I think we're good. Now, just Lucian, we have to talk a little bit about budgeting. Is there anything that this committee can actually talk about? That's not, oh, Jeff Galloway has a question. So Jeff, let's hear your
Yes,
question.
it's regarding the budget.
Good, okay.
You're right. There's not very much that Battery Park City needs from the city regarding the budget. I took a look at last year's items on the link that was provided. It's one item that I wanted to raise for discussion on whether we wanted to keep it or not. I kind of favor getting rid of it, but it's an item for discussion, and that is item number 60.
Okay.
Which is fund, the item description is fund New York City's portion of the redesign and reconstruction of South End Avenue in Battery Park City. As we've discussed in some meetings, that's a subject. The plans for South End Avenue, date from 2016 or whatever, and the usages of the street have changed pretty significantly since that time. And at least the last time we discussed that in committee, I don't think we passed a resolution or anything on it, but I think the general sense of the committee seemed to be we did not want reconstruction along the lines of what had been discussed in 2016. And in particular, we did not want a median down the middle that would make the area between Liberty and Albany a no-go zone because of the way the trucks park there. So I'm only raising, do we want to simply drop this item because it kind of implies we want to go forward with changing South End Avenue, or do we want to change it for a request? Personally, I'm not sure I even want to advocate a study of South End Avenue, but that's my personal view. I don't know what the committee feels. I just raise it for discussion. And maybe it belongs really in Betty's committee more than ours, but it's an item.
It's a combined item, certainly. But yeah, I think that there's, I'm going to let Betty talk, but I think that there's a basis in which that the sidewalk, especially on the gateway side of on South End between Albany and Liberty Streets, it's a little short with the doors, and there's a lot of difficulty getting by, especially if you're in and I'll let Betty speak to it, but if you're in a motorized scooter or vehicle or stroller or wheelchair.
Yeah, it's narrow there and wide on the other side where you don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. So that part is weird, but I also think that we cannot go forward with the plan that exists from 2016 because it's just not relevant anymore. Too much time has passed, and that's not, I don't know whose fault it is. I have no fault whatsoever. It's just too much time has passed. We need to do it all over again. And I'm going to let Betty speak to it to see what the conclusion is. Go ahead, Betty.
I think actually my question goes to Nick, and that is, what is being done, if anything, about South End Avenue for fiscal year 2024? Is anything planned?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I would say it's safe to say for now that we wouldn't be starting on South End Avenue over the next year.
So you expect no plan, no anything to be done? Because I know the original intent of this was that if anything was done by the authority, redesigned, whatever, that the city contribute its share versus not mentioning it all in the budget.
So that might be a way to rewrite it is if.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
it's just,
Justine and Betty, you both make good points. When this was discussed some years ago, if I recall correctly, and again, I don't want to speak out of school because it's been a while since we discussed the topic, but as I recall, it was at the time when we had discussed this, this was around 2017 or so, 2018, when we had that big
probably.
meeting with Margaret Chin at Asphalt Green, where we kind of had that 5-page resolution, which was brilliant and meticulous. At the time, I think what we had discussed was DOT was on board with it, as they would need to be, but that they had essentially said, and again, this is just my recollection, don't quote me on it, that to the extent that they wanted something done, it was good. They didn't have the capability or money to do it, but if BPCA did, then it was something that we would need to pay for, given that A, it was in the neighborhood, and B, it was something that we would have the capability to fund. Going back to Justine's point, certainly I think it's a different world now than it was then. I'm not suggesting that they have more money. I'm just saying that priority wise, maybe it is something that down the road that they wouldn't want to fund, or they would not. I don't know. I don't know that it's fundamentally the same set of underlying conditions now as it was then. So I don't know. But I think it's not safe to say it's exactly the same as it was.
But should the wording be for planning? I'd have to look at the actual wording to make sure it's consistent with what the authority might be doing for fiscal. This is only for fiscal year 2024 budget. I can have Lucian straighten out the terms that make sense.
I mean, I can read you what it says now. I mean, it says fund New York City's portion of the redesign and reconstruction of South End Avenue and Battery Park City. That's what we put in last year.
So it's for whatever it is that the authority does on South End Avenue would be asking the New York City to pay their share if something is done. Yes.
Maybe get rid of the
Which is
word
not.
Maybe get rid of the word the and replace it with the word any. Fund New York City portion of any redesign and reconstruction of South End Avenue. It doesn't necessarily imply support of a particular plan, but if it's going to be done, we want to fund their portion of it.
That would be perfect because that is the intent. That always was the intent of this.
Yeah.
And Lucian, let me know if you can make that change or you need a reminder.
I think we may have lost Lucian.
I think we may have lost Lucian.
I'll send him an email to
the balance between windows, so I wanted to get that down on my notes. So fund any portion of
fund the portion of any redesign. The any goes in front of redesign.
Right. So instead of the redesign or it's any redesigner.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, and Betty, I think I'm gonna probably next week, maybe Monday, try to call a meeting with you, Rosa, and anyone else who's really into budget stuff. Just to kind of come over, look at my notes, and make sure that we have everything in time for
executive.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything? Because Jeff, thank you for checking in detail. There's just not that much that we relate to. I mean, I want funding for crossing guards, not us to talk about. I want something to be done by PS 150 to get access to where the school is and do something with the traffic there and the roads there. And that's you, Betty. That's youth and education, maybe.
But I think for crossing guards is that should be changed for funding for crossing guards to increase funding for crossing guards to raise compensation, because crossing guards are technically funded, but no one wants the job in Lower Manhattan.
Interesting. So they're technically funded, but nobody wants the job because nobody. So what is our ask?
Well, I think that my recommendation would be to increase funding for crossing guards to increase the rate of pay. So
Oh, okay.
right now it's essentially minimum wage for a short block of time in the morning and a short block of time in the afternoon. So the only people who take it are people who either have exceptionally flexible schedules or people who are desperate for healthcare, and this is their second job.
Yeah. Desperate for healthcare.
And
Yes.
also live in Lower Manhattan. You know, they
Yes.
typically crossing guards live in the communities where they work because it's such a kind of a difficult job to keep. But this neighborhood's socioeconomic dynamics don't produce a lot of people who are good fit for this position, which is why there are almost no crossing guard positions filled for Lower Manhattan.
Right. That makes sense. All right. Well, I appreciate that, but it's been addressed. So does anybody have anything else? Lucian, can you think of anything else that we would need to
Yeah, I
address in
looked
this
through. I
committee?
think Jeff really hit on like the most slam dunk one.
Yeah.
You know, this committee is like a couple others where it just kind of exists in a very undefined space in terms of matching with directly with committees and also having the authority. When you really are on a different budget cycle in terms of what your scrutiny entails. So I'll look again, but is there anything that you think you'd like to add? This is really the time to try to add something if you think that something has not been addressed adequately by this existing list. I'll go through and make recommendations for executive, Justine, about dropping, combining, and modifications outside of what we just talked about with South End Avenue and crossing guards. But if someone believes that the city is, you know, should be funding something under the capital or operating budget, now's the time to say it because I won't be as comfortable adding it outside of this meeting.
All right. So one thing I would add, but I don't know how you phrase it. I would want the city to be weighing in on affordability and ground rent reform, because at the end of the day, yes, it's the Battery Park City Authority that is making the contract with the buildings in Battery Park City, but the city has
There
to
is an
sign
item
off
in
on
there
everything.
already that basically
There is
covers
that says that, right? So and we have it, and it's strongly worded to say that they have to support affordability.
Well, I don't know how strongly worded it is, but it's certainly
Yeah.
addressing that subject.
Okay. Because yeah, I mean specific. Well, yeah, obviously specific. to
And
Battery
it is
Park City.
specific to Battery Park City. The
All
one
right.
that I'm thinking of is in there from last
All
year.
right. Because yeah, part of the deal is going to be having the city
I'll look
sign
to
off on
see
anything.
if
So
I can redo the language based on the feedback to improve that.
okay, yeah.
Well, it's good to hear that you all are consistent. Yeah. Okay. Well, outside of that, I won't keep you. I'll go through it. I'll take a look. But I do invite any committee member to come to the executive committee meeting. These will all be discussed. Some I'm going to just strike completely if they're not supported by evidence, if they've been rejected by the agencies already. The goal is to get the numbers down. I'll look to combine some if possible. So if you want to continue opining on this, the next stop is the executive committee meeting. But Justine will be talking on behalf of the committee for these items since this time is now passing for new items.
All right. Anybody have anything? I think we're covered by the other committees, really, but
I think that's
because because the authority is our guide and it's state.
Yeah. And you know, the authority is always looking to engage with us to talk through the at least the you know the funding aspect of the budget, but we could certainly also request a breakdown of other things to see if they'll also facilitate a look at the budget. But
But it's
a lot
a
of their
budget.
stuff is goes through their own board meeting, so those materials exist for us to look at.
Yes, that's correct. And then, yeah, trying to see about if, in fact, another joint purpose fund is created, but that's policy before we talk about money. And this is for the budget. This is for the money. So yeah, I can't come up. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Are we good? Should we call this to an end tonight?
Fine with me.
All right then, Lucian. Thank you all for coming and staying here till 10 o'clock, almost at night. Appreciate it. I'll be happy to go back to a one committee per night schedule so we can talk longer. And yeah. Anyway, thank you all. Bye, Sarah. Bye, everybody. I see Sarah like waving. Have a great night. You all take care.